If there are two futures, and one future is we're out there among the stars, and the things we read about and see in science fiction movies, the good ones, are true. We have these starships, and we're going to see what other planets are like, and we're a multi-planet species, and the scope and scale of consciousness is expanded across many civilizations and many planets and many star systems. This is a great future. This is a wonderful thing to me, and that's what we should strive for. We can definitely go to the moon and Mars.
Yeah.
And we can go to the asteroid belt, and we can go to the moons of Jupiter, Saturn. We can even get to Pluto. A future where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars. This is very exciting. This makes me look forward to the future. This makes me want that future. You know, there need to be things that make you look forward to waking up in the morning. You wake up in the morning, you look forward to the day, forward to the future. In a future where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars, I think that's very exciting. That is a thing we want. Whereas if you knew we would not be a spacefaring civilization but forever confined to Earth, this would not be a good future. That would be very sad. Well, I think this is one of those things that's quite difficult to predict. When you think of, the first controlled powered flight was 1903 with the Wright brothers. And then 66 years later, we put the first people on the moon. If you'd ask people, say in 1900, what are the odds of man landing on the moon, they would have said that's ridiculous. And if you try to talk to them about the internet, they would not even know what the heck what are you even talking about? Like, this sounds so crazy. But today, with a $100 device, you can video conference with anyone in the world, on the other side of the world. And if you have a Wi-Fi connection, it's basically free. You're free to have an instant visual communication with anyone, or even with millions of people. With social media, you can communicate to millions of people simultaneously. So, and you can Google something and ask any question. It's like an oracle of wisdom that you can ask almost any question and get an instant response. It would have been incredibly difficult to predict these things in the past, even the relatively recent past. So I think the one thing that we can be quite certain of is that any predictions we make today for what the future will be like in 50 years will be wrong. That's for sure. I think directionally, I can tell you what I hope the future has, as opposed to maybe what it will be, because this may just be wishful thinking. I hope we are out there on Mars and maybe beyond Mars, the moons of Jupiter. I hope we're traveling frequently throughout the solar system, perhaps preparing for missions to nearby star systems. I think all of this is possible within 50 years. And I think that would be very exciting to do that. I think we'll see autonomy and artificial intelligence advance tremendously. I think that's actually quite near term. My guess is in probably 10 years, it will be very unusual for cars to be built that are not fully autonomous. 10 years.
10 years from now.
Yeah. I think almost all cars built will be capable of full autonomy in about 10 years. As it is, the Tesla cars that are made today have the sensor system necessary for full autonomy, and we think probably enough compute power to be safer than a person. So it's mostly just a question of developing the software and uploading the software. And if it turns out that that more compute power is needed, we can easily upgrade the computer. And so that's all Teslas built since October of last year. And other manufacturers will follow and do the same thing. So getting in a car will be like getting in an elevator. You just tell it where you want to go, and it takes you there with extreme levels of safety. And that'll be normal. It'll just be normal. Like for elevators, there used to be elevator operators. You get in, there'd be a guy moving a lever. Now you just get in, you press the button, and that's taken for granted. Well, I do think it's possible to create something very exciting in electric aircraft. And I think there's probably going to be a lot that happens in genetics and in human-machine brain interface, like essentially a cyborg brain interface. I think there's some pretty singularity. Well, that's sort of more relating to deep AI. It's something I think we should be concerned about, because that may or may not turn out well. Yeah, I just think the singularity is probably the right word, because we just don't know what's going to happen once there's intelligence substantially greater than that of a human brain. Most of the movies and TV featuring AI, they don't describe it in quite the way it's likely to actually take place. But I think you just have to consider, like, even in the benign scenario where AI, if AI is much smarter than a person, what do we do?
Yeah.
What job do we have?
I think the thing that drives me is that I want to be able to think about the future and feel good about that. We're doing what we can to have the future be as good as possible, to be inspired by what is likely to happen, and to look forward to the next day. So that's what really drives me is trying to figure out how do make sure that things are great and going to be so, and that's the underlying principle behind Tesla and SpaceX. Is that I think it's pretty important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matters if it happens sooner or later. And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary, and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo, and ultimately make a contribution to life becoming multiplanetary.
The people of Earth will have to make a decision: to what degree do they are we willing to sacrifice the future for the present?
Yeah.
The overwhelming opinion of the scientific community is that we should not put billions of tons of carbon into the atmosphere, which is what we're doing. But unless we change the rules, because the rules currently strongly favor hydrocarbons, unless we change the rules, I think we're in for a really rough future. I mean, fundamentally, we have a delayed gratification issue collectively as a species. Like, are we willing to sacrifice the near term for the long term or not? I mean, at some point we will have no choice, because we'll run out of hydrocarbons to mine and burn, and we'll have to transition to a sustainable energy economy. So sooner or later, we've got to go towards a solar electric future. It's better for the future of Earth if we go sooner than later.
I'm quite confident that solar power will be the single largest source of energy or electrical energy for humanity in the future.